What if you could pull live data straight from Reddit with just a few lines of code? You can with web scraping. In this video, I'll show you guys how to build a real scraper using BeautifulSoup step by step. By the end, you'll know exactly how to collect and organize real data on your own as we cover web scraping, JSON, as well as CSV. Plus, you're going to have a cool project. What's not to love? Welcome back to the channel. All right, guys, we're jumping right into our web scraping project. Now, the goal of this is to build a web scraper that we can scrape Reddit subreddits. So specifically, I think we're going to target Python. We'll target programming, learn Python. I just want to scrape content about Python, present it to you guys, break down how it's happening, how we set it up, and then really export this into a JSON or a CSV file so you guys can get started today. Now, we know the goal. I've already listed out a few points we're going to do. Really, I'm going to try and do this in two functions, okay? One function will be the main scraper to get the content from Reddit, and then we will save that scraped content as two formats. I'll show you how to do it in JSON, which is a bit more readable, and then the CSV file as well. Okay, now all of our imports, really, we only need to pip install two of these. The other ones are just built in from Python. So coming down here, you can install, we're going to use requests and then BeautifulSoup, where you need BeautifulSoup. It's not chicken noodle soup, it's BeautifulSoup. All right, you can run those. I already have these installed on my computer, so I'm gonna jump over that. So everything we need here, I'm going to import requests. We are going to import JSON. We are going to import CSV. I'm going to import time so I can create like a timer in case it can't scrape the data. I don't want to wait forever. And then we're going to say from BS4, which actually, just me saying that now, I told you to install BeautifulSoup. I am going to run the pip install on that because I want to make sure that it is indeed BeautifulSoup. It is indeed BeautifulSoup because it might be like pip install BS4. I haven't installed it in so long. Well, hello there. Okay, definitely not what I thought I was going to get. So very quickly, we're just going to run this. How do you install BeautifulSoup? I was right. I just forgot the number 4 at the end. So, okay, for all of you guys who are getting an error trying to install it, just run pip install BeautifulSoup. I was right with the 4 because that's what we're going for. So I can say from BS4, we are going to import the class BeautifulSoup. There, I already have the requirement satisfied. I already have it set up. Okay. So these are the main imports we need to build out this scraper, right? Done and dusted. I'm going to define us a function. Let's call this scrape Reddit. And then this is going to output a list. Now, I know this list is going to be a dictionary of sorts, and so I'm just going to say it's going to be a list of dictionaries. Our key is going to be the subreddit, and then the value to that key is going to be a bunch of data that we're going to scrape. As we run this, you'll see what the output's going to be. Now, the first thing I'm going to try and map out here are a list of the subreddits that I want to scrape. So these need to be the URLs, right? So reddit.com/r/ the name of your subreddit. Now, I'm going to do Python as one, like I said. You guys could put any other subreddit in here. You don't have to follow the Python thing. I will do programming, and then we will do learn Python, right? That's why we're here. We're learning to scrape. Let's do that. So these are the list of subreddits that I'm going to scrape. Now, you could get even a bit more technical if you wanted to, and I could jump in here and I could scrape like hot, right? That's the trending ones or the top ones. I could put those here, but for the sake of this, we're going to do a broader search. Okay, now all the data we get back initially is going to be in a list, right? Because ultimately that's what this function is meant to output. And I want to loop through. So I can say here for every URL in my subreddits, we want to loop through all of these, and each one
we ultimately want to scrape.
Guys, if you're finding this video helpful, drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. That really does help out the channel, so thank you guys. We're working on automation here. Automation is a great way to break into Python. It helps us speed up our workflow, automate repetitive tasks, and it's wildly popular. But if you're jumping straight into automation, Python might be rather confusing, and that's where my Python Masterclass comes into the picture. I've built out my own Python Masterclass over 4 years of in-teaching experience to take you guys from A to Z to help you truly master Python, the fundamentals to help you grow on these advanced topics. Not only is it built out over 4 years of experience, but it includes over 45 hours of content with 135 lessons, ebooks to help you progress into niche topics, as well as live one-on-one Q&As, live coaching sessions. Everything there is in the Python Masterclass. And this month you get 20% off your first month. That's the first link in the description. Head on down, check it out, come in and join in on all the fun. In the description, not only is there my Python Masterclass, there's my weekly Python newsletter to help you grow wherever you're at in your Python journey.
From here, we need to tell BeautifulSoup what type of compatible format are we using. So very standardly, I'm going to drop in here. Okay, I already have this user agent, and then this allows us to search through specific different types of browsers. Chrome, Firefox, right? Just these types of browsers. We need this header search for BeautifulSoup to kind of better understand the scraping formats. Okay, now coming down here, we want to get the name of our subreddit. So I'm going to say subreddit name. And really, that is the last piece here, right? So how can we extract this last piece of our string? Well, let's take the URL and let's just split. This is going to generate a list of all these items where they have the split, but we're only targeting the last value. And so I can say -1. Okay, this allows us to extract Python, programming, learn Python. We now have the name of the subreddit. As a quick check, you could just say like scraping for, and then just put in the subreddit name. Okay, quick print statement. And when we scrape here, we need to try to do something. We are going to try to go to the URL, and we want to get a response back from that URL, right? This is our res. This is our response. I'm going to say requests.get, right? What are we getting back? Well, I'm going to fetch information from the URL. We are going to give it our headers, which is just a keyword argument for get. And then I'm going to give it a timeout of 10 seconds, right? If it takes too long, I don't want the program to crash. I just want it to kick me out almost and move on to the next phase. And really, each time this runs, we want to get some type of status. It could be a success, right? A 200. It could be an error, a 404. Whatever that is, I still want to get that response back to make sure that it is roughly a success. Now we need to mix up our soup. We need to parse the content we get back from the response, and we're going to make some beautiful soup with it. So typically people just call it soup. But this is us creating an object of BeautifulSoup that is going to parse the HTML for us. Now, what do we want to parse? We want to parse the response we get back, but we want the content of that. And then usually, I mean, this works best for most things. I'm going to drop in here HTML parser. It'll parse that data back. Now, speaking of data, we are going to say subreddit data. This is the data that we're going to get back. And I'm going to make here a bunch of keys. So subreddit name is going to be a key. Okay. We are going to have the URL. We are going to have the title of the Reddit post. And then we are just going to have a time. So scraped at. Okay. Now, what is the name? I need to assign that as the value. We already scraped the subreddit name. This is the data we're getting back. The URL is simply just the URL from the for loop, okay? The title of the data, we now need to parse the title out of it, okay? So I'm going to say soup.title.string, okay? And this is going to convert that title to a string, but I need to check, right? If soup.title, so if that's true, great. Else, there is no title, which is unlikely seeing that we're on Reddit, but this is a way to help prevent errors. So if we have a title, it's going to be applied as the value. Otherwise, there's just no title whatsoever. Scrape that, we're going to say time. Where's my string format? Time. And inside here, we need to give it year, day, month, day. And if you want to give it hours and seconds, we could. Hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so this is all the data that we're getting back after Beautiful Soup scrapes it and parses the HTML. Okay, now we haven't really used this yet. Really, Soup is just being used to extract the title. All the other data we already had from our requests, our for loop, the information we already gave it. Now within this, right, we're going to have a bunch of different topics that we get back. And these topics, I want a way to save these as well as our discussions within the subreddits. And there could be different font sizes, right? So I'm going to say for every heading in soup.findAll, this is going to take a list. Here is where you can put different HTML elements. So H1, H2, H3, and I will just do H4. Okay, so if any of these come back for the heading, that's great, okay, because they could be of different sizes. We're trying to account for that. And the heading is going to be within the information we get back. Quickly, to clean up the text we get, this should say text, not test. I just want to clean it up really quick. I'm going to say heading, get text, and I'm going to say strip equals true. This will strip all the white space off the text. We're just cleaning it up. Now, I don't want to save everything, okay? Because if we think about it, if a Reddit title is 4 words or less or 3 words or less, it's probably not that valuable. It could be, and we could keep that. But if we wanted to put like a lock on that, I'm going to say, okay, if text comes back true and the length of text is greater than 3, that means there's 4 or more words in the text, it probably has a bit more value to it. So I want to specifically target and keep those. Additionally, I want to check if certain keywords are in the title that we're scraping for. So I can say if any, right? If you don't know how to use any, this is a great Python hack, speeds up the flow. I can really put expressions inside here. If any of them are true, the conditional statement becomes true, right? So I'm going to say keyword in text.lower, right? So if the keyword is in text lower, for every keyword in this list, here's where I'm just going to put some words. So like Python, programming, let's say code, I don't know, developer, coding. Okay, so if, well, coding was a bit too long. Well, let's keep coding because it'll be good for us. Let's say develop. I just want it on one line for you guys. So if the text contains any of these words, that's useful in our case. We're scraping for Python, right? That is a good success there. I'm going to take my topics list and we want to append. What do we want to append? Well, I'm going to append a dictionary here. We're going to have a title, which the value will be of our text. Whoops, there we go. And then we're going to have a type. And the type is really just going to be, I will put it as the Python topic. And this will appear in the JSON data. This will appear in the CSV, right? So this is what we're scraping for. We're going through, if any of the headers contain any of these H tags, we're going to get the text and we're going to strip it, clean it up, ensure the text is over 3 characters, and then make sure some of these words, one of the words, are in the text because that might be valuable to what you're scraping for. Okay, next up in the list, I want to save our discussions. So again, I will create a list here. And, you know, on different pages, I don't want any duplicates of information. We need to avoid duplicates. The best way to probably handle our duplicates case is if I create a set, right? After we go through a URL, I could add it to my set. It's not going to allow us to have duplicates in there. Okay, and we're going to loop through it. For every link in soup.findAll. So here, we are going to go through and try and find links, which in HTML is an anchor tag. The href needs to be true. Okay, href is really the link that's linked to your anchor tag. So when you click it in HTML, it takes you to a certain location. If this is true, I'm going to create text from that. We're going to say link, kind of like we just did before. We're going to get text, and we are going to say strip is equal to true. We're just cleaning up that text. And then I'm going to say href is equal to link square brackets href. Okay, so we have to make sure it has the href attribute. We've stripped it. We've cleaned the text. So if text comes back positive and the length of text this time only needs to be greater than 1, it means it has a URL. I could go forward, right? We could just leave it here, but let's say like we want to make sure that there's comments on it, for example, because that would be an engaging Reddit post for us. People have engaged with this. So I could say here, and within the link, we have a section called comments in the href. And href is not in the scene URLs. If all of those are true, that's probably a valuable post to us. Let's take our scene, Let's take our scene URLs. We are going to add the href to that, okay? No duplicates. And then in our discussions, we are going to append a dictionary of a bunch of data. So again, I'm going to go title here. We are going to go URL. This one's a bit easier, so I'm just going to say href. And then we are going to go type. Type is going to be equal to discussion. Now for the title, let's just make sure that the text, I want to trunk it. I want to cut pieces off that we don't need. If I can say the text, we can go from the beginning, we can go up to 100 characters. And then I'm just going to add, if it's longer than 100 characters, a ... right? If the length of text is greater than 100, it's going to apply this. It's going to take the first 100 characters, it's going to apply this to show us that it's really long text. Else, it's less than 100 characters, it can return all the text to us, right? This is how I could structure out all my discussions. Okay, now coming down here, right? We are going to say subreddit data. Our key is going to be Python topics, and we can update the value to become our list of topics. Our subreddit data this time, we are going to say discussions, and we can update that to become our new list of discussions. Our main list that we created was called all data at the very beginning, and all data, I am now going to append the subreddit data, just like so. And then let's just say time.sleep. Okay, I don't want to overload the system. It's just going to sleep for 2 seconds. Okay, now in here, I have a try. There's no error. It's just I have a try. If that's the case, we're pretty much done here. I'm going to say exception as E. We could get more specific with our exceptions. Okay, and I'm just going to print off error. Okay, what is going on here? Tab. All of this should be tabbed once. Save. Okay, so really this is done on the outside here. I'm going to return my list of all the data. So this in itself, guys, this is the scraper. Now I built this for Reddit, right? You could be creative here with your URLs, right? We used BeautifulSoup to parse the content. Once we parsed it back, we were able to target the title. I could then look through any HTML elements. We could search through, and I created sub-dictionaries within our main list to house the conversations and the topics of each of these subreddit posts. Now we just want a quick way to save the data, which brings me to my function. So I'm just going to say save scraped data. This will take all the data the first function returned, and then I'm just going to give it here file name JSON. I'm gonna save it as two things for us. So I'll say like Python topics.json, and then we will do a CSV save because, you know, if you're working in data analytics, you guys probably want different file formats if you're building out an API, right? So however you guys want to save it is up to you. Just showing you guys two options here. We give our data, we are going to export it as a JSON and as a CSV file. So the first check you should really do is like, if there is no data at all, okay, then I'm just going to print no data, and this function needs to cut out. So it's going to return. Otherwise, we're going to go through. So with open, right? Open is our context manager at this point in time. It allows us to open files, open images, you name it. I'm going to try to open my JSON file, and we want to write new content. So W is for write. This would override any existing content, all right? And then generally encoding, I'm going to say UTF-8. This is just going to make sure, this should probably be lowercase, that looks funny. This is just going to make sure that no matter what system you're on, it's going to encode the information correctly. And I'm just going to say as file. Okay, so anytime I refer to file, I'm really referring to our JSON file right here. I'm just going to say json.dump. What information do I want to dump in the JSON file? My data. Okay, where am I dumping this data? Into the file. You could put things like, I want there to be an indent for readability, and then we could say ensure a C. This will make sure the text characters, everything matches up, is true. If we don't need these, you could just say data dump. This would work perfectly. Okay, print down here, I will say Python topics saved. And we're just going to say here file name.json. Okay, let's do a quick exception as E, print off here an error, and E. Okay, so this handles all the JSON stuff for you. Pretty much done. I'm going to copy this to save some typing. This time, we're just doing it slightly differently. So I'm going to mark up here for you all JSON. And down here is going to be our CSV. We can change file name to say file name CSV. Okay, and then we don't use dump anymore. In fact, with CSV, there needs to be a little more cleaning information we're putting in here. I'm going to create a writer, and we're going to say csv.writer, giving it our file. Okay, so now I can use writer to pretty much write inside this CSV file. I'm going to say writer, I want to write, if I can even spell write correctly, write row. Inside row, I'm essentially creating headers in the CSV. The first header will be our subreddit, right? We might have a type. We might have a title. We might have a URL. We might have a scrape at time. Okay, so I'm writing these rows. These are ultimately the headers, and we can loop through. For all the subreddit data in our data, we gave the function. We are going to get the subreddit, which will be our subreddit data, and we need to unlock it with the key. This is like our dictionary, right? I'm giving it a list. We are trying to access the internal information from that. We're going to say scraped at. This is going to be our subreddit data. We're going to say scraped at, okay, just like that. And then for every topic in our subreddit data, we want to get, we created a key called Python topics. And if it doesn't give you anything back, it should have a list ultimately. right? So get is our Python dictionary function. I want to get this key. If we cannot find this key, you are going to substitute the value as a list. Okay, now as we loop through each topic, I want to write a new row, pretty much, inside there. But all this content, we don't want the same exact content here. We want to put the subreddit, which we have already collected, boom, right there. We want to put the topic with the type. Okay. We want to put the topic with the title. And we want to put scraped at. Let me just ensure, the URL. I mean, for the URL, I'm just going to put an empty string. I don't need that taking up too much space. Let's just say an empty string for that. Okay, and then we're pretty much going to do the same thing for every discussion in our subreddit data. We want to get our discussions. If we can't get it, it will give us back a list. We're going to do writer. We are going to write row. And inside here, we need to write the information inside. So once again, I'm going to say subreddit. I'm going to say discussion type. We're going to say discussion title. We can put here, if we want to now, discussion URL, and then our scraped at time. So scraped at. This should say URL. Okay, so we go through our data. We loop through, we write the rows in the CSV. This looks really good. Really, I'm just going to print off all topics saved to files. We're good on that. Except exception as E. We're going to print off, let's say error. Okay, so pretty much that's done. We have scraped the data, we have saved the data. Let's just run our code here, which I am doing here. What did I do? Did I have two of them? All topics saved. Huh. Oh, this one is just a duplicate. I don't need that necessarily. I think we're good on that. Okay. So coming down here to main, we just want to execute the code in order and run our script to make sure. So all we're going to do here is I'm going to create a variable, and we are going to call this scrape Reddit, calling my function. If we get data back, so it returns data, that's true. Great. We need to process the data. So processing the data, ... just so I know it's working. And we could create here, so like total topics, some counters, and we could count, right? How many topics did we scrape back? How many discussions did we scrape back? Easy way to keep track is just by creating those counters. In order to increase these, we can just say for subreddit data, for all my subreddit data, in the data that we get back, let's say topics count is going to be equal to the length of our subreddit data. Let's get back Python topics in our list. Okay, I'm going to copy this, and we are going to make one for discussions. All right, so I'm going to say here discussions count. We are going to change this key to be discussions. And then we're going to say total topics plus equal topics count, total discussions plus equal discussions count. Cool, and then just printing off some basic statistics. We can just do a quick analysis here. We are just going to do something like n. Where's my n? We will do total subreddit data subreddit topics count Python topics. That's going to be like the number of Python topics. And then we can have discussions count, and we can just call this discussions Okay, done. Last real thing you just need to do here is we need to call my function saved scraped data, give it back the data to make sure it saves it. Else, if there is no data, just print off here, I don't know, there is no data returned. Done. Guys, this is our scraper. Let's run your code. If there's any errors, let's resolve those. Otherwise, we're going to see some scraped data come to life. Let's make sure it works. And you can see, right, I'm scraping through different subreddits. It scraped for Python, that appeared to be a success. It scraped for programming, appearing to be a success. And then the last one, it'll scrape for Learn Python. You could change these depending on what you're scraping. Boom. So I am now throwing an error, no key subreddit. Okay, so it made it all the way to the end. And there is no key for that. All right. Did I spell it wrong? Did I do it? Well, I spelled something wrong. So quick way to do that. Let's go up and find it. Let's paste our subreddit. I think I printed that on the outside. Where did I print that? I am outside my for loop. Total. Oh, this should just be, what am I doing? I'm not even in the for loop. This should just be total topics. Total topics. We don't need topics count. Okay, so I did that wrong. Yes, okay, this looks good. That was me trying to look internally in the for loop. Didn't go well. Boom. Okay, so, well, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, okay, so the CSV has an error. I can see an error with that. The JSON, boom, we scraped it. Look at this. Post must be relevant, join Python Discord. Yeah, so look at all this. We scraped all this data from Reddit. That is really, really cool. Now, this issue with Python topics in the CSV, if you don't need the CSV, that's okay. But there was a slight issue here. So I'm going to mark this. Let's review. And I think just, I think it has to do here, actually. New line is equal to just an empty string. Yes, okay, you should go first. I get it. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm gonna run that again, see if it scrapes and works. Every time you run the scraper, it's gonna have new data, right? So every day you run this, it is gonna update and change the data. And after fixing the key error on the new line, you can see all topics have been saved. Okay, we scraped 3 different pages. In our CSV file now, we have all the scraped data. Now I'm only getting the top content on these pages. Every time I scrape this, it's going to be a new topic. We export it as a JSON and a CSV, and you guys got a really good introduction into BeautifulSoup, so now you can start scraping Reddit or other sites on your own.
And that video kind of covers it. This was an introduction to BeautifulSoup and web scraping. How do we fetch a URL? How do we parse it? And then how do we extract the data that we need? I hope that you got value in today's video. And if you did, drop a like with a comment and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That means the world. Thank you guys for being here. I want to create more automation content. So if you enjoyed this, let me know what you guys want to see. Because this is a popular topic. We can use Python to automate a lot of our tasks, and I want to create projects around this. Remember, if you're brand new to Python, that's okay. Some of this stuff might have been overwhelming. I know when I first started, it was for me. The first link in the description, you can get 20% off your first month with my Python Masterclass, where I take you from A to Z in Python to help you truly master the fundamentals so you're never left behind. You get access to 135 hands-on lessons, Python ebooks, an interactive Python community, as well as live Q&A sessions, and if you're lucky, one-on-one coaching with me. That's all for this week's episode of Code with Josh, Python crew. I'll see you next time. Until then.